Good morning. Welcome to our Saturday mornings Wake and Bake Lives where we get raw, real, and loud. Today we are going to continue with our speaking to kids in cannabis. And remember, this is an open floor. Even though Miss Jillian and I are up here at the top, we welcome everybody to come on and talk with us. But before we go on, two things. One, I don't know if you guys saw, we are under a new name. Can a Mom to Good Moms Too is no longer our name. We are now Mom's Tea and Cannabis, where we come on here and all throughout the week spill the real raw truth, one bag at a time on cannabis. So that was announcement one. Announcement two. Miss Kira, I don't know if she's in here. Miss Kira and I have been working really hard behind scenes to come up with something. And we have come up with a kids cannabis game line. So there's books, right? Like you're seeing all these cannabis books that moms can use to talk to the kids. Kira and I decided to upstep it one, and we have made a game line. We just released our first game this morning, and our first game that we have released, it is a 12 card matching game. So it has 6 cards for you to match on the inside, and how I did it, and Kira put it all together for me. She saw my vision and just put it together for me. Is on one card is like a sativa leaf, and at the bottom of the sativa leaf is a fun fact. Now, when you match it with the other sativa leaf, it's another fun fact. So that way, when you match the cards, it's got one fun fact on sativa, indica, hemp, cannabis, cannabinoid, and then when they match them and you can tell them about that one fun fact, that opens up the door to start conversations. Like the one for hemp is, I have it on there that it can be made into toys. Like that's like the perfect, like when they match it, like, oh, what does that say? Oh, hemp can be made into toys? Yes. Not only does it help heal people, it can also be used and made into a toy. Anyways, so yes, it is a 12 card matching game with 6 cards to match, each with a different cannabis picture and fact. I put those in Etsy this morning. After the live, I will post it again, so it'll be a little easier to find. But we are excited to be releasing a kids cannabis game line. Like, so you guys got the books, and now we're going to add the games with it too. Like being a teacher, I was like racking my brain. I was like, how did I teach the kid games? Kids love hands-on. So, all right, let me put Miss Jillian on. She's been waiting long.
Yes, it's going to be a lot of fun because like I said, there's books, but like so many people are doing the books that Kira and I wanted to upstep it. So we did a matching game, a card matching game, cannabis card matching game. And then we have another card game that we're going to release a little bit later. And we have something else that's kind of big too, but that's like really in the works. But yeah, we're going to have games for kids.
Yay! Good morning.
Hi, everybody. Good morning.
Literally cold over here in California this morning, so
Girl, it is snowing in parts of Washington up here. I'm like, you keep that.
You know, I went outside for my session this morning, and I was like, my big toe was like, girl.
Yeah, it's cold here too. It's like 37 and raining.
I'm so excited for the new name. It's beautiful.
Thank
I love it. And so
it feels right.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because that's what we'll do.
We're spilling the tea on cannabis. We're telling the truth.
We are.
We're talking to our kids. We're letting them know what the real deal is coming from us.
Yes.
Not the streets. You know, so I'm excited for today.
All right, you ladies. I know that you want to come on. I'm pulling you on.
Pull them in.
I'm pulling you in. Yeah, there's a couple of them. I'm not looking through the snow here either. Oh, you ladies, come on. You're supposed to come on. Okay, fine. I'll start it. Why? It is important. Why it is important to speak to kids about cannabis is, like Miss Jillian has said before, and I totally agree. We should be the ones that's teaching them all of the things anyways. And something that we didn't touch on last week, Barbara, you can come on too. Barbara that just commented. Okay, so I'm going to shout her out really quick because I want to make sure, I'm like, you know what? I keep shouting her out everywhere. She came up with a fantastic idea for the group. So over on Facebook, we actually have a section for moms that need or have breast milk to give. And they don't mind that it's canna related.
Really? Now that is interesting.
Yeah, she actually hooked up with, she's here in Washington with me, actually. She's a little bit south of me, but she actually hooked up with one of my friends that I personally know here in Washington to trade milk because my friend needed it and she has it. But so many moms are like, you know, because cannabis in it, you know, there's some moms that don't care or want that little bit of extra cannabinoid, like for the baby. So she came up with that. She messaged me. She was like, I got kind of a weird idea. And I was like, well, what is it? And I was like, that's not weird. I'm making a post.
Yeah,
I went right over to Facebook. I was like, yes, that is fantastic. See, she's getting her milk on Tuesday. There's just and then, well, then her and I went into the conversation.
That is cool in the chat. That is
yes.
Cool. I never thought about that.
So speaking of that, so that goes right along with the whole kids and cannabis thing, right? Like it all ties in together. There are so many moms, like Barbara and I actually had a conversation about it. I couldn't produce. I personally wish I knew of CBD, THC, like all of the cannabinoids.
Yeah.
When I was breastfeeding, because when I had Wyatt, I was producing maybe 1 to 2 ounces a day. Like I tried 3 different lactation counselors. I tried the cream. I tried the guard. I tried the pumps. I did hand pump. I did electric pump. My body just it gave me my boobs.
Everybody, and then unlike me. I was like, you know, the breast pads didn't do anything for me. I literally would be squirting baby in the face because it's just like, I'm like, shh.
See, but we need people like you and Barbara that have the extra that we can give, and then having those cannabinoids in it. That's another way that we can explain to our kids and why that it is important that it's giving them those extras. I mean, even with the CBD, like we should be educating them on both sides. I'm not saying that we need to just be like, yeah, I smoke some THC, some indica to go sleep at night. No, I feel like it's important to do the whole plant. And with the carbs, CBD, we do the whole plant.
Me, even if I had a little one as young as yours, and if they would say, okay, well, you know, he's ADHD and he needs pills, I'd be like, yeah, you can keep your pills. I'm going to put him on the CBD and watch him just be calm and collective. He's not addictive to anything. There's nothing to get him high. It just calms his mind and his spirit. And that's what he needs. He doesn't need side effects.
So that's,
and I'm not saying that some kids don't need a heavier dose of something. I just want to make that clear.
Yeah. But no, I feel you on that because Barbara, by the way, you can request to come on and talk with us. It's an open floor. Anybody that's in here listening, come on. Everybody is welcome. Like I said, when I posted, I said, we smoke weed on Wednesdays. And yes, everybody can sit at our table. We literally extend our tables and pull up chairs. Like you guys on here, if you got something to say, come on. But anyways, my son is in therapy. Like his dad and I splitting just.
Oh, she's asking how. She's asking how does she.
Okay, so down on below, where it says add comment, you're going to see this little box that looks like a camera, like a video camera with a plus sign in it. Click it. Anyway, so my son's in therapy and she was talking about him having my ADHD. Right. And she was like, we should. And I was like, if you're going to tell me to do him a pharmaceutical, it ain't going to happen. Nope. And I put him on CBD.
Yeah.
Yeah, on camera. We get to see your pretty face.
Come on, because we want to hear all the juice. I feel like it's really important. This subject, you know, after last week's show, you know, Amanda got so many DMs and so
I
many
did.
people wanting to just learn so much more. You know what I mean? So we need
And
everybody to
it's,
come, and we need everyone's opinion.
we do. And we want to know your side and why and like how you do it. And good morning. I get to finally see your face. I get to finally see your face. Her and I've been talking a lot behind camera. I seriously cannot thank you enough for coming up with that, like the whole breastfeeding thing, because cannabis is in it. And the thing that Barbara does too, she laid it all out. She was like, I had it on this day and this is how much I smoked. Like she had it down.
I'm in my pajamas. I didn't realize I was going to need to be camera ready.
Oh, you're fine. Sorry, there's no judgment over here.
And I just finished pumping and smoking. So, anyhow, I'm in my cake studio. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. So how do you talk to your kids about it? You just make it normal? You have like a conversation?
Yeah. So, I think that like I've tried to develop like a healthy relationship with my kids when it comes to cannabis usage, because I do have a chronic illness, and I watched my mom suffer from chronic illness for most of her life, and she actually died almost 9 years ago from an opioid overdose.
I could almost feel her in my gut before you said that.
Oh.
Like my gut just went like.
Mine did too. It sunk.
It sunk before you can even say it, because you know what, you're hurt, and you need to come on here and just get it out. You know, because once you get it out, go take a shower and just be like, wow. When you get out of there, girlfriend, be like, okay, snap it, let's go. Because guess what? There are angels. And I can tell you, and Amanda can tell you, I know how you feel, because on the 15th of last month was 5 years, my only son passed away. And it still feels like yesterday, and it cuts like a knife. You know what I mean? But we need each other. Yeah. So I'm so happy you came on. What a blessing.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So finish your story. Go ahead.
So she was somebody who, you know, was a very strong proponent for cannabis use for medical reasons or just for recreational reasons. Like I grew up with a canna mom for most of my life, you know, my earliest memories being like H4 and mom medicating. But then she entered like a pain clinic for her chronic widespread pain, for her chronic illness, and they made her sign like a contract saying, you know, that she wouldn't use illicit things. And so they gave her all these pills, and she, you know, she died from these pills. And she's like, and this was 9 years ago, marijuana wasn't legal in Washington State yet. And so she was getting, you know, like some stuff grown in a garage from a friend of hers. And she's like, I hope my doctor doesn't find out. I hope my doctor doesn't find out. I just wish I didn't have to take all these pills. And I just wish I could have canna instead. And, you know, I hope I don't get caught. And the you know, the cannabis wasn't good quality. It was not great. But like the last day that I spent with her, 4 days before her passing, we actually smoked a bowl together. And I was like, I like this. This is nice.
That's a beautiful memory. Is nice. That's a beautiful memory.
You know, and then 4 days later she was gone. And my kids know that I'm in chronic pain because of my chronic illness that I will have for the rest of my life, that there's no cure for. And they really respect and appreciate that they know that mom's not going to OD. It gives them peace of mind. Yeah. You know, mom's not going to OD because cannabis is safe. Yeah. You know, they watch me consume.
You bring up
they know that it's safe.
Oh, you bring up a really good point.
Yeah.
That we need to touch on. Oh man, I'm so glad. Doing the breast milk, you coming on, give me ideas. Yeah.
Oh, sharing your story.
Oh, by the way, sesh at my house, December 18th. I'll message you.
Okay.
I'll message you. Sorry, I just remembered. I was like, wait, she's in Washington. And I was like, oh, okay. So you just brought up another really good reason we should talk about kids in Canada about cannabis. You lost your mom due to an opiate issue when she knew and had cannabis and she knew that it worked. Like, it worked for her. It was doing its thing. But because they were like, no, weed is bad. Don't do weed. Pill, 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 pill.
Yeah,
Now,
and then pills to counteract the effects of the side effects of other pills.
Look, I always say
like,
this. There is no
Right?
difference between a street pharmacist and a legal pharmacist. Everybody pumping drugs.
Right.
Stop playing with me.
It's
There's
true,
no
though.
difference, because I'm telling you, every time my mom goes to the doctor, they're like, well, take this. I'm like, you need to just
You know what?
not do this thing. Take this.
You know what
take this.
You know what, I'm curious now, because, and I want to look it up too. I'm going to put it in the Google search bar to look it in. How many children lose their mother yearly to opiate overdoses?
I bet it's a stunning number.
Because she brings I'm so glad you came on, because that's valid facts.
Yes.
So instead of them going this natural route that could actually extend your lives, because let me tell you how many deaths we got on this side. That's a big fat zero. We have none, not a zilch. But because they're just like, no, instead of doing their research and digging into it, they push those pills, and now these kids, they're losing parents. Now, you're older, so I'm not saying that it hurts any less. That's not what I'm saying. But when you're a younger child trying to process something like that, it's hard because they don't get it. They're like, how?
My kids were devastated. My kids were really young when my mom died, and they were really close. My mom was my best friend, and she was a really big fixture in all of our lives. And I grew up an only child. I have no other parents. I have no siblings, and so like we were all really close knit because there was not very many of us. And when my kids had to go through watching grandma pass away, I mean, it just ripped their heart out, and my kids never have to worry about having to put me in the ground because I took a pill that a doctor told me to take because I'm just, using my cannabis.
My mom died in her sleep due to alcohol. We knew it was coming. It took her a lot younger than we thought we were going to. My mom was a horrible alcoholic, really bad alcoholic. Anyways, that took her in her sleep. So one weekend, like the weekend before, my son's on chat with his nanny. That's what he called her, right? Hanging out, talking to nanny. Next thing you know, I'm asking his dad to keep him for a weekend because I now have to fly to Tennessee because my mom died. And my son's like trying to process it, right?
Because he was just talking to her. He can't connect. He can't connect. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
And then just take. And like Barbara was saying, like, they were just talking to grandma. Like, grandma was just hanging out. And now all of a sudden, you're got to be like, oh, well, the doctors gave grandma some pills and they ended up not working and took a chance and oops. Like, I think in the most pissed off way that I'm not trying to minimize it, but I'm also really not trying to get my engine up too high on this live.
I think that's why we have to come on this show and be an advocate and talk about it, because it's still a misconception. I'm telling you, even when I'm calling for properties, these properties owners say, that drug is illegal. I'm like, so you're in California. It's illegal. I can come outside your door and smoke and you couldn't do nothing about it. You know what I mean? So it's still a taboo subject after all these years of being legal.
Yep. Barbara, I don't know about you, but here in Washington, when I was still Canna Moms Are Good Moms too, I had it on the side of my mask, and I would go places, and I'd have either people go, one go, what's Canna, or the other ones would go, well, why do they need support? And I'm like, what do you mean? Why do Canna Moms need support? They're like, we're in a legal state, and I'm like, hey, I understand that.
I am so stigmatized.
I understand that we can go down to the dispensary, but what about all of these people in these other states that can't? And then
absolutely.
And then they're just like, and then I get this whole, well, I smoke and I'm fine. Like when I'm trying to talk to them in person, and that's when I'm just like,
goodbye.
Okay.
Have a good day. Have a good day.
Yep. Now I'm heading back over to Facebook and TikTok and Instagram, and I'm going to talk.
We have to. We have to.
Kids, well, and the other thing that's, like I said, it's really important because it is so big right now. Like, it is a hot topic everywhere. Like, even in the illegal states, they're talking about it. You know what I mean? Like, even CBD. Like, it's just so big.
I want
And
to ask Barbara.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, honey. I
No,
want
go
to ask
ahead.
Barbara, how are you doing today? How are
Yeah,
you
how
doing
are you
today?
now?
Yeah, how you doing just today, right in this moment? How are you feeling in this
Um,
moment?
That's a really subjective question. That could be that question. It could be answered in like unlimited ways. I guess I would need you to be more specific.
Like, coming on the
Sorry.
show and just talking and telling your truth, are you feeling like, okay, I can breathe a little?
I feel like confident in who I am and what my convictions are.
Yes.
I wish that I had, put a little concealer on first. But
With bare face over here. With bare face.
yeah, I'm barefaced except for my ridiculous eyelashes that are like awnings. Like I go outside and the rain doesn't even touch my eyes because they're like roof shingles.
She's got built-in Seattle umbrellas.
They're fully utilitarian.
Love it.
But no, like the anniversary of my mom's death is coming up on the 18th of December, and it's a really hard time of year for me in lots of different ways.
Well, it looks
And,
like I picked the sesh at my house on the perfect day for you to get out and come hang out then.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Get out your head.
there's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't think about our last smoke sesh together.
Yeah.
And how like I had no idea that 4 days later I was going to lose my mom to a pill that was supposed to be safe when we could have just, and I think that that's really part of the reason my kids are so supportive. My kids are not little tiny anymore, which is probably really confusing because I am donating canna milk. So a little bit of history with that is I have a chronic illness called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and it causes problems with my connective tissue in my whole body, including my GI system, and I have something called gastroparesis. And so I take a medication for my gastroparesis, and it's actually illegal in the United States. I have to buy it from Canada because there were cardiac events with cancer patients. I'm not a cancer patient. It's the only medication besides cannabis that has helped me not throw up every meal that I eat.
Wow.
The side effect is lactation. I was a very, very heavy producer when I was having my babies. I was pumping like 2 liters of milk a day, and I was donating to other moms in the NICU. And so basically this medication has awakened my breast tissue, and here we are again. But I don't have a baby to feed this time, so that's why I have this can of milk to donate.
Wow.
So if it wasn't going to another baby and another mom who's canna friendly, then it would end up down the drain. My kids are older, though, as I was saying. I don't want to segue too far from my original thing that we were talking about, but I have a couple of kids who also partake in canna, and it gives me a lot of peace of mind because I know that they're safe.
Yeah.
Because they could be doing any number of things, but my daughter who's 19, she has canna. She's actually having a lot of similar problems with widespread pain that I've had, and problems with her periods and stuff like that. So she's, grew up in a really canna friendly environment with a lot of education and a lot of
so it's essentially saving both of you.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why it's that's why I was like essentially. That's why I feel it's another important thing to talk about, because people do push pills just so hard that we don't want our kids to feel like under that pressure. We want them to know that there is a better, safer alternative route, and not only that, but it's saving our moms. Like it's having her still here with us.
It's for mental health too. It's not just physical; it's mental health too.
Absolutely.
I'm a neurodivergent person. I'm on the autism spectrum. I have ADHD. I have a ton of anxiety. I have a lot that I have to kind of deal with just mentally and emotionally throughout the day, and cannabis helps it makes me feel very centered. It's a very healthy way to feel centered. Some people hit the bottle. Yes. Some people, eat pills. I have some canna, and my kids can see a marked difference in my demeanor. I am more mom sometimes with the canna than I am without the canna, and they appreciate that.
That's me. I'm a more patient because I have really bad anxiety and ADHD. I always feel like I need to be moving or doing something. So I missed so much of hanging out with my kid because I would sit down there with him, but then I'd be like, wait, I got to be doing this and I got to be doing this.
Your
Oh, wait, I'm
mind
supposed
is
to be
all
doing
over
this.
the
I'm supposed to be doing
place.
like this.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be there with him. But then you bring Campus in now. I sat in there for hours watching him play Minecraft as I'm like scrolling TikTok on my phone and we're just chilling. You know what I mean? Like it just,
You can actually be in the
I,
moment.
yes, and then the medicine that they gave me for my depression, you know, before I knew what cannabis was, I was more not there for him than I wasn't when I wasn't when I was medicated. When I was medicated, I was there less for him than when I wasn't because I was like this. Wyatt.
And me as well. Not just emotionally, but like, you know, I was a couple of years ago, I wasn't medicating because I was in a job that was regularly doing random testing. And they're like, oh, you can take all the pharmaceuticals you want, but you can't have cannabis, even though we're all a bunch of alcoholics here, which made no sense. And so like, I was in and out of the hospital constantly, like not being able to eat and having horrible, you know, stomach pain and like just vomiting all day long and sidelined on the couch all the time. And now the kids know, you know, mom's going to have her dinner. That means she's going to have a little bit of cannifer so that she can keep her meal down and everything's going to be cool, you know, and
then mom can hang out afterwards. Yeah, or mom can hang out afterwards instead of in the bathroom.
And I can enjoy my meal. I can enjoy my meal. We can have a meal as a family and mom's feeling A-okay.
State of mind, you're focused, you're in the moment, you're enjoying the conversation with the kids. Because I'm telling you, if I don't smoke at night, my mind will be taking off. You know, my mind will just be going like this. I mean, I miss my son. So if I don't smoke at night, I'm not going to be able to sleep. You know what I mean? Even if I get a good 5 hours, I'm good. You know what I mean? I get up usually 1, 2 o'clock and I'm doing my work because we're business owners. We just be like, I know you really need, I need my flower to be able to.
Yep.
Absolutely. And then I'm a better mom the next day because I feel more well rested.
Yeah. Kira, jump in.
Okay. I'm sorry. We're actually sitting out in front of the dispensary right now. But,
nice. Perfect.
So last week I came on and talked about younger kids and my experience with younger kids.
Oh, by the way, really quick, I'm going to interfere. That is our designer. That is the brains behind the cards. I had the idea. I gave it to her. She put it together. Sorry, I had to make sure everybody knew. Like,
there's going to be bigger,
I got a sneak peek. So beautifully done.
Coming in the future.
We got big stuff coming. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
But one of my best friends, Denise, she is a Canna mom. She taught me how to be the best Canna mom. She's a mom figure to my daughter. She's great. Her kids are wonderful. I love them like they're my own children. But she has some experience talking to older children that have been through traumatic experiences and teaching them about cannabis and the differences between cannabis and pharmaceuticals. So with that, I'm going to introduce you guys to Denise. She's going to talk on my tag.
Dan, I just want to let you know you can slide out whenever you want. If you want to stay and chill, you totally can. But if you want to slide out, that's also cool too. I just want to let you know, don't feel like you're stuck on camera with us.
Oh,
you're more than welcome to slide in. Yep, or slide out. It's up to you.
Okay.
I'm Denise. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Denise. You know what? I'm actually kind of glad I get to see your face because I get to hear your stories and all of the stuff that's going on, and now I get to put a face to it. Yay!
Sometimes, right? It's nice to meet you.
Yes.
So, my story is kind of similar to the other young lady who was speaking earlier. I have a chronic illness. I have escalated lupus and a couple other things, secondary autoimmune diseases because of it. And for a long time, I did use like pharmaceuticals, all of it, and I was sicker, and I was in the hospital for weeks and weeks at a time. But the worst part was my husband ended up developing an opiate addiction, and it started out with him using pain pills, and it escalated to like the strongest pain pills, and then it escalated to heroin. And sadly, my husband, the father of my 3 kids, passed away. It's going to be 7 years in April of a heroin overdose.
Mm-hmm.
And after that was the last, you know, no more pharmaceuticals after that. And I had to, like, I sat down with my kids and I explained to them that cannabis was never going to take my life, and that we have a natural system in our body that is created to be able to be helped by cannabis.
Yep.
And that pharmaceuticals, I'm very open with them, because after what happened to Scott, I had no other choice but to be honest all the time.
Yeah.
Because it was the only way to handle that and to help them.
Yeah.
through it. And I explained to them that, you know, pills are what led to the heroin, and that I never wanted anything to do with them, and neither should they. And I replaced all of my medications for my post-traumatic stress, like Xanax, and all of the opiates that they had me on, and a lot of the lupus medication, that the side effects of it long-term are really bad. Steroids, chemo. I replaced all of that with cannabis. And it keeps me to where I can be a better parent. I can help my physical issues and my pain and not be a zombie and not fall asleep, and know that I'm always going to wake up.
Yeah.
I'm never not going to wake up when they try to wake me up. And actually, my 18-year-old daughter has been seeing a therapist because, you know, she's still working through the issues of losing her father. She was 12 when he passed. And her therapist actually asked her if she had ever thought about cannabis for her trouble sleeping. And she came to me and told me that, because I told my children that I was never going to, like, I told them their brains weren't ready, and their bodies weren't ready. And the law in our state is 21, you know. But I'm reconsidering that after what the psychiatrist said. And I'm thinking about maybe I do need to take her to a doctor and discuss a medical marijuana card. Because if that can keep her from needing to take any type of pharmaceuticals to help her sleep that could potentially harm her, then, you know, I'm willing to reconsider my thoughts on them using cannabis. You know, she tried CBD, but it didn't help her very much for her issues. She's a very high-strung little girl. But, you know, the main thing was, after Scott passed, cannabis replaced all of those toxic, potentially deadly things in my life. And I wish that my husband would have used cannabis, but he was an addict, and he was nothing. I did everything I could to help him, but you know.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing about an addict. If an addict is not ready to get help, an addict is not going to get help. It does not matter what you do, what you say, what intervention you do, where you take them. All you're going to do is piss them off until they're ready.
They have to do it on their own.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And that's hard. And that's hard for everybody. Like, imagine him going through all of that, and not only, like, before he even overdosed, like, imagine all of the other things that, like, the kids are seeing, and she's having to cover up, like, you know what I mean? Like, it just, I looked it up. There is over 100,000 moms overdose, like female overdosing a year. 100,000 a year are dying on overdose. This is just pharmaceutical. I didn't look up alcohol. I didn't look up anything else. I did just pharmaceuticals.
And it's, you know,
That's
opiates
insane.
don't care. Opiates don't care who you are.
No.
It doesn't matter how much money you have. If you take those substances for an extended amount of time, your body becomes physically altered. Your brain actually rewires itself.
Yeah.
To where it actually, I was told when Scott went into rehab, one of the rehab specialists sat me down and talked to me, because I was angry. I didn't understand why he just couldn't stop. And they said that his brain felt like he was trying to commit suicide every time he wasn't taking it. because
Wow.
it had rewired itself to where it needed those opiates. And plus all of the dope sickness that comes along, you know,
Yeah.
they don't want to be sick after a while. It's not about getting high. It's because they just don't want to be sick. My husband used to say he just needed to get right. He just needed to get right for the day.
And that doesn't, and they don't have no consideration for the children or anybody at that point. You know what I mean? Once you get on those pills, like once you get on that, it's just, you're stuck on it, and that's all that you want, and that's all that you focus on. And then now it's going to leave not only your partner, but especially your children just confused. Like, it's like you think you're confused? Kids are like, what?
Well, you can hear it in the advertisement on TV. Oh, may cause suicide, may cause you to do this, may cause you to do that. I'm like
really low though.
Yeah, I'm just going to smoke and I'm just going to be fine. I don't want to hallucinate. I don't want to do none of the above. I'm going to be in control of myself when I smoke. I'm not, only thing I'm going to do is eat up the refrigerator, go straight to sleep. Or like I like to say, have some good sex. And that's it.
My kids understand, like, why I use cannabis, to the point that if I am kind of being like mean mom,
they're like,
they will actually tell me, Mom, you need to go in your bedroom and take a time out and have a mom moment.
Her son does like, Mom, go take a
come
break.
back and be nice to us and, sit and eat and laugh with us. You're kind of a bitch right now.
My husband calls it an attitude adjustment. I'm like, you need to have an attitude adjustment.
Attitude adjustment. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, my son's done that before. He's like, Mom, do you need medicine? Yes.
I feel like some people think that if your children know that you use cannabis, that you're like trashy, and your kids are...
Well, because of what they were taught. You remember in school, that's what they teach them.
Whatever. I don't know, but my kids, I leave roaches all over my house in ashtrays. I don't have it locked up. My children know that it's medicine, and they know that they have no business touching it. And it's not for, like, they are jaded a lot about drugs, but they know cannabis isn't a drug, but they're jaded about, like, alcohol and things like that, because they watched their father go through drug addiction. Wow. So, I'm glad that my children are kind of like, that's not the route to take. But, my daughter did bring up the cannabis in place of some kind of sleeping medication. And that made me reconsider. Maybe she does need to get a medical card, and we need to find her a way to use cannabis to help her instead of, a sleeping pill. Because that's not, you got to talk about it, be about it. I want all of my family to never be
Yeah.
My stepdaughter was able to stop taking Prozac because she takes cannabis now. So, and we've noticed a massive shift in her personality. It's like, she's back.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's real nice.
I don't know. It's just so important that they know. Well, one, that they know, because we're consuming it and we're talking about, well, especially me. I'm all over the place loud and talking about it. But because we are talking about it, and because we are consuming it, and because it is so big, could you, like the whole, like, DARE program thing, you know what I mean? Like, they've used so many, like, scare tactics that now it's just, we're trying to do so much cleanup.
Damage control.
It is. It's a big fat pile of damage control. And the thing is, I
never bought it. I never bought into it when I was a kid. I was just like, okay, I'll go through the motions. But, like, even at, like, 10 years old or whatever, when they're pushing the DARE thing, shoving it down my throat back in the 80s, I never bought into it. I was just like, yeah, I'll, jump through your hoops and pass this because it's part of my thing. But I knew that there was absolutely nothing wrong with cannabis use.
Yeah.
I was wise to it even way back then. I knew it was all just a load of BS.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the thing that I'm scared that they're going to do with our kids too. And then the next thing you know,
they're already doing it,
right?
My kids, all three of them, they're older. I have an 18-year-old, 17-year-old, and a 13-year-old now, and all three of them had to go through the DARE program.
Yeah,
and then
they
we
all
had
to
talk about the DARE program and what they said and what they were wrong about afterwards.
Yeah.
So Wyatt's already schooled one person. Like he told someone that I smoke, and they were like, well, when you smoke, all you do is get high. And so he came back and asked me, he goes, Mom, is that what happens? And I was like, well, how did they explain that word to you? Like, what is high? Like, what is that? Like, you tell me what you think it is. And he was like, it's like when you're really lazy and you just want to lay down and do nothing. I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. I was like, well, no. And I let the conversation end. I waited for about 30 minutes. I went outside and I medicated. And then I came back in and I just sat next to him and I was like, blah, 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 and I started talking to him. And I was like, do I say hi? And he's like, no. And I was like, didn't I just go medicate? And he's like, yes. So next time he went to that person's house, he actually schooled my 9-year-old, schooling a 30-something-year-old, going, well, actually, this is. So that's what and that's what I want. And I don't want him to go back and be like, well, my mom said that's not what happens. I would rather my son go back and go, well, actually, that's not what happens, because she literally just proved it to, like, showed it to me. And that's what I want to do with this education. It's the same thing, because I don't know. It's just so big and it's just so popular right now. I don't want the scare tactic to come in. I don't want the wrong information to come in. Because you know what's going to happen if we don't get this next generation on the education of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
If we don't get them on the education of this, if we don't start educating them on it, then we're going to end up still in this circle that we're in, where we're not getting our testing, where we're not getting doses done, where we're not getting, people in, doctors in on board on it, because it's relaying the same thing. But then now, if we can take this generation that we have, starting with us, we're in our 30s and our 40s, we had our younger kids, starting that generation to come up and be actually educated is what's going to get this proper medication accessible for everybody. Yeah, exactly. If we don't start educating this next generation to come up and be like, in school, actually stand up and go, well, actually, in the cannabis plant, did you know that it's, you know what I mean? Like, for them to actually learn those things, we're going to be stuck in this cycle and we're never going to get it fixed. Yeah. We teach them and we educate them and they start correcting facts. Things are eventually going to start changing. And that's where it's really going to come in. Yeah. That's why it is important that we talk to them, because they're going to be the ones that are going to stop this. Because everybody that was like, devil's lettuce, God, like smoking the devil's weed, whatever, all of those people. Yeah. I'm not trying to be rude, but they're eventually going to fade out because new generations come in. That's what it does. It's a circle. It's a circle of life. It goes around in a circle.
You will see that we'll be living a longer life because we're not on the opioids. We're not on the, all that extra stuff. Yeah.
But if we can get our new generation to start pushing that out even more versus continuing this cycle, because if we educate them, we can stop this cycle, which will stop the stigma. You know what I mean? Hi, Love. I finally get to see your face. I get to see so many of your faces today. Like, I talked to all these people behind the scenes, and now I get to see their face.
It's also about confidence, right? I'm good. Yeah. I wanted to add on to your bit there. It's also about confidence, right? It's more than just raising our kids with cannabis knowledge. We need to raise them with confidence. Yeah. The greatest gift my mother ever gave me was confidence. She told me, look, girl, if it doesn't matter if it's your principal, if it's another kid's mom, doesn't matter. If you are right, you tell me, you don't lie to me, and I will fight for you to the ends of this earth. There's times that my mom walked into that school and put my principal in their place because they were targeting us. And so you know what that taught me? It doesn't matter when you're a kid. If you're talking to an adult, whatever that age, doesn't matter. Respect is important. Don't get me wrong. Respect is important, okay? But it doesn't matter if you're 9 and you're talking to a 30-year-old. If you know that you know what you know, and if you have that confidence, that's what's important. It's that confidence to carry it through. And I feel like the DARE program, I feel like so much of what is being taught in our schools right now is taking confidence away from kids. It's not boosting them. They're all anti-bullying, anti-this, anti-this. Yeah, and it's more division. It's so crazy. In 2021, we're in a world where everything is about inclusion, right? But how is it that all these inclusion groups
Right.
are just causing more divide? We need people to be confident with what they believe in, and then just voice it, talk about it like we're doing. And I mean, I'm a little bit ahead of the game. My little guy is only 2. So we have time, but that's why I'm here. And I'm sorry if my service cuts in and out, ladies. I'm so excited.
You're good.
I just moved, and I just started the hunt for a new doctor because we had a great doctor that was cannabis friendly, and then he moved, so then we moved as well. And I found this doctor, but he's from South Africa and believes more in natural medicine and in spirituality for healing.
Nice.
And so I called the minute I found him. I called, and they're like, "Well, we can take you tomorrow at 11:20." I'm like, "Done. I'm there." So I already had this planned, but now I have to do it on the road. But I'm glad to be here with you, lady.
Thank you
Talk
so
about
much.
This.
Oh yes.
But you're absolutely right, because it's one of those confident. You're right, because confidence. Okay, so we're going to sit here and we're going to educate them, right? And we're trying to end this cycle, the stigma cycle, by educating. But you're right. We give them all of these facts, but if we also can't give them the confidence to stand up with these facts, it kind of leaves us in the same circle.
Yeah,
and you're right. School does that. They're like, everybody's included and everybody's welcome. But you know what? Growing up in high school, I was one of those kids. I floated. I didn't have I had my set friends, but I didn't have a set group. I was a floater because I liked to talk to everybody. But doing that, but now that I think about that growing up, and now that you just brought that up and I think about it, there was so many groups that wouldn't even go near each other. Like they wouldn't, like one wasn't like in the back fence, like all the way back towards the football field hanging out. And then you had like the people up front being the loud, and then you kind of had like the chill people over here to the side. And of course you had the stoners hiding over there smoking. I mean, everybody was kind of split up. And when you do split like that, it does just smush that confidence. And then you put the DARE program in it, and you're already feeling kind of self-conscious because who are you sitting with lunch today, or whatever, did somebody write your note back? I don't know, whatever they do, text you. I guess it's not notes anymore. I guess it's texting. My bad. Type thing. And it kills it. It kills that confidence. And then now we're wanting to teach them about this natural medicine. We need to teach them confidence with it. So that way, kind of like I did with my son, I showed him enough proof of the fact that he had enough confidence to actually go back to this adult and go, well, actually, this is what happened. Instead of well, my mom said so. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't build confidence doing that. Like, well, my mom said, or my dad said, or you know what I mean? That doesn't build confidence. But then if giving them this education, if we can give them that confidence behind this education, they can stand up to them like he did and go, well, actually, she didn't.
Well, and
she
then
went outside and came inside.
You showed him better than you can tell him. So you showed him in action, so he was able to see, oh no, she's just talking to me as normal. She's just as calm as normal, but probably even calmer. But I was.
I was actually, because he was talking, and I'm actually kind of glad I was. Let me tell you something else. Let's be a little funny with this. You know what? Let's break this tension. You know what else cannabis does? When my son is sitting at the dining room table telling me about a build in Minecraft with all of these rocks and stones that are only Minecraft based, I can sit through it and go, cool.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I really get into his builds, right? Like some of the stuff he does is really good. But then he started talking about like him and his buddy built this something, and they use all this, and he starts talking really fast. Before I used to be like, God, why are you still talking about this? And now I can go, that sounds fun. All right. Like I can actually be patient enough and keep myself patient enough to sit and listen to him. To do that stuff. Like, so let's say there's a positive side for this too, because there have been before cannabis, there's times he's telling me about some YouTube video and I'm like, okay.
Because you're not all over here, you're right here, you're present. Yeah. I feel like it makes me feel centered and present, and I'm just like, not all over the place. Woo!
Well, and then that also in return shows them to be like that too, you know what I mean? That they can be more, more calm and present, and the reason why mom is because of this, you know what I mean? Instead of not your daughter, the Minecraft YouTube videos. It's common.
Thank
I
you,
really
the real,
appreciate.
too.
wait, thank
I
you,
was,
the real
oh,
Jenny Dixon. Y'all
Oh
keep
yeah, Jen.
educating and advocating. I love what you guys do. Thank you, for
Thank
the
you.
comments.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say just compassion too, like you were saying. So I think something else that's really important to talk about is showing compassion for both sides of the fence, right? Like we know usually when these people are coming at our children, they're more abrasive, even in the DARE program and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we should be combating that, right? It shouldn't be like, oh, well, they're awful because they're da-da-da-da-da-da, and they're just pill pushers and blah. Like, we don't want to return that because what are we
Right.
teaching our kids? I was going to say the day things changed is when I don't know about you ladies, but when I was in high school and when I was in junior high school, we played devil's advocate. So you wanted to have a discussion on, I'm going to throw this because it was this controversial in school. You want to have a debate in health class today about abortion? Great. We're going to split the class right down the middle. And guess what? I'm going to pick one of you. You need to fight for both sides. What did that teach? It taught perspective. It taught kids to think. It taught kids that you have an opinion and I have an opinion.
Yeah.
But wow,
Yeah.
look at the great conversation we can have from that. I learned something today, and I think you learned something today.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Conversation.
Yes.
And now with
Having
everybody, it's just like, I know everybody says it already, but with everybody nowadays being offended, we can't have these hard conversations. And if you can't have them, how do you learn? How did we learn in the past, right? Like, instead of, like, especially in this interconnected world we have now, I don't have to go out the door and make the same mistake you did because I can jump online and we can session. You can tell me what you went through and damn, I just learned something, right?
Yeah.
But we need to have these conversations to do that.
I agree.
It's true. We have to, and that's why
and
that's why Jillian and I like doing this. So a lot of people are doing like the podcasting part where it's just voice and everybody just comes on with voice. Well, Miss Jillian and I, we were talking and we wanted to up it. Like, I guess that's kind of like what we're doing with the games too. Like we wanted to, just add on one extra like help. So we wanted to do face. Because like you said, like getting on and seeing our faces and having these conversations and spitting this truth, it's important and people need to see that it can be done, that we can all come on here from all different aspects from all over the world. You're freaking up in Canada. I mean, like we're all over the place and we can come together and we can have these hard conversations. And I'm also one of those people. Give me facts. I'm not going to be one of those people that if you come up and go, okay, well, today on your live, this is actually what happened, or today on your live, here's the actual fact. I'm going to in return probably research it a little bit just to make sure because I'm a researcher and that is just what I do. But then I'm going to research it, and if it is facts, I'm going to be like, oh, thank you. Actually, oh, snap. And then I can like switch and change things because you're right. It is important. And that's why we wanted to do the face is because you can see the expression and the serious. Yes. And that is how you learn. Like if you just keep being so close-minded, then you're not going to get it.
And you know what? Here's another fact for you.
How's the weather in Canada really quickly?
Hang on. I'm like, just wait. Let me see if I can turn my camera around for you.
Snow. No, thank you. No, thank you.
We got 7 inches of snow and then it never left. So, yeah. You know what's funny, though? I just wanted to say something on that note, too. My husband's driving. He's right beside me. He's American, and it's so funny because as we're all talking, he's just like, "Where is this?" They all sound American, and I was just like, "Well, it's all over the world, but yeah, I'm pretty sure for the most part here."
I'm in California,
and we're in Washington.
And I'm in Alberta, northern Alberta, so I'm even further into the snow.
Oh yes, in Alberta, you are,
But that's the other thing that I wanted to touch on too is that's the importance of this, right? Is that we can connect people from all around the world now, and the experiences that we go through in different parts of the world, right? Again, now I don't have to travel to Costa Rica to learn something, or you know what? Like Mother's Mary, they're the 2 co-founders there in the Dominican Republic right now. Like,
Yeah.
how much did I get to
I follow
learn
them.
through them, right? Just like watching them, like how incredible. So yeah, that's important too, and that's why it's important to share, and not just the good. That's why I'm here without makeup, fresh out of the shower. That's why I didn't
We
join
all are
sooner. I was
too.
like, you guys don't need to be part of that. But
She's like, me
that's why
too.
it's so important, is because we're real. You know, like pitch us. We're real. We're not perfect. We make mistakes. That's how we learn.
And that's something, and that's another reason why we're doing these as well, and doing in the face, because I wanted the raw, real, loud, because we're everyday people. Like I'm not somebody that knows it all. I'm not someone that will ever know it all, and I'm not trying to come on here and say that I do. That's why it's and that's why it's an open platform, because you're right. We've all got to come together, and we've all got to speak out, and we've all got to talk, and we're bigger in numbers. If we all come together and we're all talking, we're bigger in numbers.
Yeah. And that's the fact. I mean, you can go by yourself and go alone, you won't go far. But if you come together, you can make the biggest impact you can make worldwide for everybody who's listening and coming on and taking their time to spend time with us this morning. You know, we really appreciate you all. You know, we have some great merchandise. Amanda, I want you to jump back in
my
on
cards.
because we never get time to really talk about it. Where can they find the merchandise? What's going on?
It's on my Etsy. Yeah, it's on my I have the shirts. They're not in Etsy yet, but I did make my shirts. They'll be up soon. But the thing I dropped this morning is the cards. We actually made a 12 deck with 6 matching cards that have cannabis facts on them. It's called How Hemp Helps is what Kira named it. And our first set that we have it's just 6 cards, and on the card is like a sativa leaf and a fact underneath it. And then when you match it with the other sativa leaf, it has another fun fact underneath it. But the facts, the way that I did it, I kept them kind of simple. That way you can turn it into a conversation. Like on the hemp card, it says, one of the hemp cards says how it helps your body. But then the matching hemp card says that you can build toys out of hemp. Right. You know what I mean? So then you can just be like, oh, you can build my toys out of hemp? Yes. And then you can explain how the toys are built out of hemp, and then go, but it also, and then you can open up conversation to how it helps your body.
Yeah.
So we wanted to do stuff like that, because you also have to be, when you're educating on this thing, I have 3 minutes. Something that's really, 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 really important, and I cannot express this enough to you guys: don't argue. Well, I take that back. Argue, but know when it's time to walk away. Yeah. Because there are some people that they're not going to listen. They're not going to hear what you have to say. And all that's going to end up doing is like driving a bigger wedge.
Yeah, and you're wasting your time and your breath.
Yeah, it is. But these cards could also maybe help as well, as one of those things that you can start a simple conversation. And when you're talking, that's where I was going with that. When you're talking to someone about this plant and you want to open a conversation with them, start with a fact or start with a question. Like, did you know you can make toys from hemp? Did you know that the first actually
even
clothing? Well, you know what I mean? Like, so start out with something like that. Don't start out the conversation with, well, I smoke and this is why, and I don't care what you think. Like, go in and try and educate, and go in with an open mind. Go in for that hard conversation, but also know when to walk away, because there are points where it's just time to walk away.
I will tell you, I always say this. I always say this to everybody. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. You always have to watch your delivery, because people, if you come off offensive, they're going to, and even with the kids, if you come off with the kids, let me tell you something, you better not be, they're going to go smoke. Because they're already like, okay, well, shit, I'm going to try it anyway. You know what I mean? You have to educate them. No, seriously, you have to educate them.
I'm laughing because it's true, because you're right, because it is one of those things. You know? And the more because, like, okay, well, about us in school, the whole DARE program, don't you do that, don't you do that. What did we do? We were all curious and had to go find out what that don't do that was.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to wrap it up. before we get cut off. Thank you, everybody, so much for coming. Thank you for coming on. Barbara slid out. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Denise and Kira. Anybody, this is an open platform. So just know, whenever you're on here, if you want to hop on, hop on. There's no judgment here. We don't care. We want to hear what you have to say. We don't care what you look like. We want to hear what you have to say. We want to hear your voice. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We will be back next Saturday. Oh, and I also want to say really quickly, starting next Wednesday is our first session book club class. Yay! We are going to be reading Weed Mom by Danielle Simone Brand. Yes. And have a little sesh and talk about the book. Yeah. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you again next week.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, ladies. Have a good Saturday.
Beautiful.